it on tape, then you know it's real, and that's our type of guy. And just the way he plays, it jumped out at us. He was able to do a lot of things. He had a good interview with us at the combine, so you could tell he was a bright kid. He has his stuff together, but he plays hard, he plays physical, and he's got versatility.
You mentioned to John Lynch that they had a little film talk or a little talk about understanding breaking down plays together, and that was kind of a bonding moment for them. Does his mental approach to the game, understanding like all the intricacies of the defensive team, was that impressive to you?
It was. Like I said, the interview was really good. You can sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's a short amount of time. Sometimes you can feel like, is this rehearsed, and you kind of have to figure people out. But it seemed like he really knew what he was talking about and could explain certain things, and it wasn't just about memorizing this or that. He kind of could bounce back and forth, and the conversation seemed like real football talk.
Is there an emphasis this year on, looking back at last year, you can get better potentially a lot better in one particular area that you kind of have honed in on or want to hone in on this offseason?
We feel like there's a few we can, and we do that with our players every year too. It's like the first thing we do when they come back, and we call them, they're like pro grow, get better tapes. And the coaches will meet with them individually, and they'll have a tape of like some of the good plays, but then also focus on what can you improve, and I feel like we do that with every aspect of our defense too.
Renardo Green seems like a fiery character. We've heard some of his phone call with John and Kyle. I think also Daniel Bullock's. Did you talk to him much in the pre-draft process, and what has he been like coming off of being drafted?
No, our coaches were doing a lot of those Zoom interviews, like a lot of teams do. You try and talk to as many guys as you can, and spend time with them, and as many as you can. They have certain limitations for that, but I'm just excited to see him here these next, today at practice, and then we get into next week and see what he can retain, and then see how he moves. And we're just excited, as much as you can learn right now, because you don't ever put pads on and stuff like that.
Well, what's the challenge with?
Start out at nickel. Renardo, will he play nickel? I mean, how do you want to sort of bring him along initially?
We'll bring him along, starting him out inside, and see what he can do in there. I think that's something that, if you can retain it, you want to learn it earlier than we know what Demo can do. We've also, Sammy Womack's done a really good job here these last couple of weeks, and so has Keemon Hall. So I feel like there's a lot of good competition everywhere at every position, and then he'll get some work outside too, but we want to also train him up, because like I said, versatility, you only have certain amount of guys that dress on game day, and you just always have to have enough guys that can fill in if you have injuries or something like that.
What's the challenge with, only 3 of your starting front 7 guys return, at least to start the season, when you have so many moving pieces, so many new faces coming in? What's the big challenge with that?
The challenge usually is to learn how to play our defense and learn how you're talking about the D-line in particular, right? And then
and linebackers. Only Fred will be there when the season starts.
Right, and learning how that works, like our targets, our get off and all that. It usually takes a little while, but so far from what I've seen, D-line is, with the individual work, it's looked really cool. It's looked really good, and like I said, the mixture of young guys with, or guys in the middle of their careers, and then, a guy like Leonard and Malik added to that have done it and have proven it, and we know that they can. Malik has played in this system. He was in Houston, and so is Devondre. Devondre's played in this system years ago in Atlanta. So for him, it was like, oh, cool, this is great. I remember this. So it's not so new for some of these guys.
Nick, why did the run D kind of take a step back last year? It seemed like in the Detroit game, you guys got pushed around a lot up front, and they climbed to the second level and were picking off your linebackers. What happened to the run D from 2 years ago to last year? And what's your thoughts on it going into this year?
In that game, they got us a couple times. We've evaluated that, and we're going to fix that part of the game and those type of runs. That's what we've kind of focused on.
Did Kyle ask you you'd be okay with Staley coming on? Obviously, he's a big name. He's known. He's been a head coach. You're a first-time coordinator. Did he ask you, like, would this be something that could work, or did you know right away it could work with somebody with that high a profile?
I know when we interviewed, he had talked about, I think I was first, because it was like we were here, everything just happened. We had just finished the Super Bowl, and you know, there were a lot of names out there, and he was like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna, you know, interview a lot of people, and here, and here. So, you know, I always knew there was always a chance, you know, and I'd always heard good things about Staley, and really bright, knows his stuff. Obviously he is, because he ascended so quickly. And like I said, it's been really good. I mean, he's a worker, he's smart, he's been really great through this whole process, this offseason. I've learned a lot in a short amount of time, and he's really meshed with our guys, with our players and the coaches.
He'd be up in the booth, you think? Pretty sure.
We're still working all that out.
Nick, you played
Last one, guys. We gotta go.
you played 10 years in the NFL. How would you describe your style, and maybe what are some of the traits you want to see carry over to the guys that you're going to be coaching?
Speed, violence, and finish. That's what I talked to him about, you know, playing with that speed, and then, you know, the violence that, you know, the game does change as far as rules, but it's still football, and we want to arrive that way with violence, and then finishes, you know, being a ball player, making plays, whether it's sacks, picks, forcing fumbles, takeaways, and it's also how we run, our effort, our swarm, how we finish. Hey everybody, morning. Good to see you guys. I'm excited. Go ahead, you can ask questions. We just got to walk through with our rookies. It's pretty cool to have those guys here.
Nick, when an offense takes a look at your defense early in the season, what do you think? What do you want them to see? What's going to be the identity of your defense?
I want them to see that we're still the standard of what we've always been, an attacking defense that plays fast, we play violent, we play with speed, and we finish.
Thus far, what's been the biggest adjustment to your new role?
For me, it's just now you're in charge of things. You know, you have to plan your days differently. You have to plan it out for the rest of the staff. You're more involved with the draft, which was cool. You know, overall, just not just a certain position. So that's been fun.
Is your staff intact now? I know you were looking for a defensive line assistant, maybe some other spots. Is everybody here at this point?
Yeah, the staff is great. And that's the one thing that's been really beneficial to me, is knowing the guys and having the staff that I have right now that's also been here for a while. I'm already familiar with them. They know how we play. They understand our defense. They understand if we need to, you know, change certain things, not so much as like shifting what we do, but just evolving, like the league evolves as quick as it does in 1 year or 1 week or 2 weeks. And then also adding Brandon Staley, which has been awesome for me. I mean, he has experience as a coordinator, he has experience as a head coach, so he sees things holistically, he knows how to build plans, and then just getting him in here and spending extra hours and just talking football with him. He's very bright, and it's really a humble guy who's smart and knows football, and that's been really awesome and helpful for me.
How do you explain his role? I mean, what will he be doing throughout the off season? When the season begins, where does he sort of hang out?
Really, just how I said it. It's more holistic. He's been kind of helping me overall. He's been involved with pretty much everything. You know, as far as here, we did this. I've been kind of talking him through how we play certain things. Watching stuff throughout the league and what other teams do, some of the things that he did, and would this fit, would it not fit in our defense, and some things I was already familiar with just watching different defenses. You naturally see other defenses do things, and he's been more connected with the DBs and the nickels, and you know, but he also has experience elsewhere with the ends and outside linebackers. But with the staff that we have, I think for me it's going to just be really helpful that he's done it before and he's had success, and he's been a head coach as well. So it's just, like I said, it's been great.
Nick, you're a first-time coordinator. What is it that you think got you this job?
I think you'd have to ask Kyle and John and ownership. I think I mean, I was here. I understand the defense, familiarity with it, with the guys, and how we play, what's expected. I think we all know what we expect out of the defense and our team. So probably have to ask Kyle about that.
Kyle has alluded to, upon hiring you, getting kind of back to what you guys have been in the past, where maybe it veered off a little bit from that last year. Specifically, where did things maybe go away from that last year, and how do you get things back to that?
I mean, it's just, you know, the details of what we've done in the past, you know, with just our coverages and how we play them. That's it.
You guys have had, if you look at the roster, most of the personnel turnover, I have to guess, was the defensive line. A lot of guys have left, a bunch of replacements in. How's that front possibly changing? Like, is there certain things you want to do to make it a little bit more unpredictable, or? just different style guys on the interior too?
You know, pro sports, the NFL, it's tough. There's changes all the time, whether it's coaching or players, and we're fortunate to have a lot of these guys like Eric for a long time and did a lot of great things for us. But we did replace him and JK and some of the guys that we had last year with some guys that we're really excited about. I mean, Floyd and Malik inside, and then getting Jordan Elliott as well. Yitir Gross-Matos. We got some young guys mixed in with some veteran guys that really have performed and we're really excited about. Also that we have them for a couple of years. It's not like last year where we had gotten the guys that was kind of 1 year and gone. And it's someone that can get in our system with Coach Kasarik, and really just be aggressive and attack as far as changing things. No, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to do what we do and be an attacking defense.
This defense is at a straightforward four-man pass rush for a very long time. Are you looking to sort of add a little bit to that schematically in terms of simulated pressures or whatever?
Well, we always are looking to evolve in certain ways. I think there's things throughout the league that you see, and it's like, will this work, will it not? But as far as what we do, our bread and butter, we're going to do that.
Does your relationship with Kyle naturally change when you go into this position? Obviously, we know Kyle gets involved in a lot of things. What was your relationship just kind of coaching-wise with Kyle, and is it a little different now?
Yeah, now I'm more connected with him. We talk a lot more. You have to. I mean, he's very busy being the head coach and running the offense and stuff. I think now you have a little bit more free time. It's been cool, especially with what we've done with the draft. Having just going through the draft and kind of talking through, even before that with free agency, like what our team looks like and what we need it to look like and who we want to target. So in that respect, it was a lot more connected with him.
We met Malik Mustafa for the first time yesterday, and what struck me was that he's built almost like a linebacker. Obviously, on tape, he played safety really well. And he talked about that Panther position that he played at Wake Forest. When you look at that versatility, is that something that you envision him being able to do for your defense as well?
I just think with safeties today and defensive backs today, you need to be versatile. Even linebackers, I mean, look at what we've done with certain guys that have kind of been in different positions, and it's such a fast game, and you offenses look to expose you in certain ways, so you have to be, versatile. So we like when guys have the versatility, but we also just loved his play style. Even with Renardo Green, it's how he played, and even with Tatum Bethune, they fit how we want to play football and how we do play football. And when we see guys like that, it's like, okay, do they fit us? And he does.
What learning lessons do you take away from last year now in your new role?
Excuse me?
What learning lessons do you look at from last year now going into this position?
Well, I think you learn every year. I think for me, it's more just getting prepared for the season and getting our players prepared and our staff and everybody prepared that we're playing and presenting it to our players in this, with one voice, and we're doing it all with the same direction. And then, again, like I said, speed, violence, and finish is what I want it to look like.
Nick, when your name has come up for the past year or so, it's been in relation to the ball, emphasis on taking away the football. How did that role come about? And I mean, it seems kind of obvious. You want to take the ball away, you want to keep the ball on. But how did that come about, and what is your emphasis when it comes to generating takeaways?
Yeah, taking it, and it was also about protecting it too. Our offense and special teams involved in that too. Kyle does the meetings on Thursday for the team. They're always, it's different people have done it in the past here. And when I first got here, I did the same thing for Pete Carroll in Seattle for 4 years. So when I came, kind of found out that I had done it in the past. And so I naturally went in here and did it. But it's just technique. It's more mindset than anything. You have to think about it, and you have to train that thought, and then it becomes habit, whether it's attacking it or protecting it. And the main thing is that everybody's involved. If you're blocking, you have ball security, for the guy who has the ball. If you're on defense and you're attacking it, whether you're the first man in, second man in, high point, tips and overthrows, got to get those. You guys don't know that? Okay.
Along with Pete Carroll, who else has influenced you in your coaching career?
There's been a lot. There's probably too many to name. I mean, I played for a lot of really good coaches, even, like Frank Beamer in college, and Bud Foster was our D coordinator, and, going through the 10 years playing, a lot of really good coaches.
Nick, how much work do you do over the offseason in just evaluating offensive trends and maybe how you want to combat those, or do you do that work?
Say that again?
How much work do you do in terms of evaluating trends around the league, in terms of how offenses are developing and ways you might want to combat that?
That's something we mix in throughout our days. Like when the season first ends, we kind of split your day with evaluating the free agents, the pro free agents, and evaluating ourselves. and then after that it turns into the draft while you're still doing that, and then you start to do little projects that are evaluating what's happening in the league, and we give those sections to different coaches, and we're continually watching it, and always, like I said, you try and learn, you try to evolve because you want to win games.
Speaking
Nick,
of
you
that
had some really good.
self-evaluation,
Oh, go ahead.
speaking of that self-evaluation, the run defense did slide last year relative to the years before. Is there anything in particular that you guys are looking at philosophically this year to write the course in that regard?
There's certain things we learned when we watched it, and we're going to get it corrected.
Nick, last year you guys drafted Winters and Graham, and they looked really good in the preseason. They didn't play a lot as the season went on. How do you evaluate their rookie year? And with Greenlaw out, do you expect those guys to contend for that starting spot opposite Fred?
We always wanted to be competitive. We got Devondre Campbell, another really good sign for us. The guy's been a really good player in the league for a long time. He's been a Pro Bowler. We're excited about that, but also with the development of Jalen Graham and D. The way that those guys play, again, Jalen played more of, he was a high school quarterback. He was more of like a safety type that played more out of the box, like Fred Warner did, that you kind of move in. So sometimes, with him, it's just making that transition. And then D has come a long way too. Now we love his play style. He plays fast. He's physical, and I think both those guys so far, what we've seen, they just continue to grow, and want to see them compete once we get to these next couple of weeks and then into training camp.
What did the defense lose?
When you mentioned Brandon Staley saying, Dad, I've used this before, would it work here? Are there situations where you're like, well, maybe, like, let's see, you gotta see on the field, won't be known maybe until training camp? I mean, might you try to just kind of try stuff and see what works?
We did that a lot. That's football. You try something and it may not work. And I'm not saying that with this, but we had that plenty of times in Seattle, a couple times in Seattle as well, where we might be evaluating something and Pete would say, hey, maybe we need to try this, and you might spend a practice or two in the off season and try and iron it out and see if you want to use it, and you may or may not. It just depends on, it's first, for me, is it going to slow the players down? And you don't want that, not the way our players play. So if it can fit our system and our players can still play fast, and it gives us a competitive advantage, I think everything is geared towards, can it help us win games?
What
like
did-
the defense.
Nick, you've had experience working with linebackers, DBs. What's your relationship with Nick Bosa, and what do you have to do to maximize what you can get out of him?
Nick's great. You never have to question how he's working. We hope to get him here in a couple weeks, for like he always comes back here towards the end, and relationship's great. He's one of the best in the league, and he was defensive player of the year for a reason. I think a lot of the stuff that gets overlooked is how he plays in the run game. He's real physical. He's not just a guy that can get to the quarterback and affect it, which he does that at an elite level also.
What did the defense lose when Talanoa Funga went down last season? What is it gaining when he comes back?
Main thing with him is he's got experience and he's a heck of a player. He's really, really good at communicating. He's smart. He sees things, has a full understanding of our system. And when he gets back, we're going to be excited. I know he's excited. He was out there on the field the other day at our, we're in phase 2 right now, so we're on the field doing a little bit of, work with our players and just talking to him. He's excited. So when he's ready, he'll be ready, and we'll be excited to have him back.
Have you
This is
decided-
obviously your first podium moment. You're gonna have many more. People are now looking at you on how this defense is gonna run. There's been a few defensive coordinators through here the last few years for promotions or otherwise. Have you had a brace for this? Just the public-facing part of this. People are going to be watching you on the sideline. People might be mad if the defense doesn't play great. They might love it when the defense doesn't. That plays tremendously. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said before, for me, we all know the standard here, and we all want to win. We all want to play great defense, and that's the expectation. But I have that on myself. Our coaches do. Our players do. What is said, I'm not really worried about it. I just know what we want to get done and what I want to get done. So regardless of what's said, good or bad, I just work and go the next day and work and then go the next day and then work and try and provide our players with the best information and challenge them to be the best that they can be, and then everything will be just fine.
Have you decided where you will call plays on game day and why?
Yeah, I'll be on the field.
Yeah. What do you prefer about that?
I like being on the field. I was a player, and it feels good to be on the field, and I want to look the players in the eyes and talk to them, and I feel like that'll be the right thing.
What's your style? Is it like a solid D'Amico kind of on the sidelines? How are you on the sidelines out here in charge?
I don't know yet. We'll see.
All right, thanks, guys. Cameras, we're good, like we done before.